Hi everyone, Laura Hakes here with Fiddlesticks Designs. I will be sewing along with you, doing the Settlers Pride block of the month. Maggie Bonanami, I believe is how you pronounce it. No, Jojo, you get down. Is the designer. Tanya Greasley and I are doing this together, and she is the dyeing guru. She dyes all the wool for it. Blackberry Primitives. Joseph, get down. I'm doing it in my living room. So my little dog wants to be in the picture. I do not. So you'll probably see more of my dog in the photos, in the video, than you will me. This is the pattern front. I just came back from a retreat that Tanya had, and she had her finished piece there. And like a dummy, I didn't bring it home with me. I should have brought it home with me so we could have had it as the backdrop, but I didn't do that. So this is the pattern front. It's a beautiful piece. I'm very anxious to get started with it and very anxious to get finished with it. It just can't happen fast enough. The first block is the cabin block. I have pinned mine in place. Now, right out of the gate, I'm going to tell you that I go rogue whenever I am sewing something up. You stay down, Jojo. And I always have to add my own mark on things. I don't know what it is. But Maggie likes you to make it your own and have fun with it. And that's what I do with all of her designs. She's a wonderful designer. And I don't think she's ever put a design out that I didn't love. And she's got so many followers. But right out of the gate, I'm going to tell you that I added some smoke to my chimney. And I added a flower over here. I've got to balance things. If something doesn't halfway balance, it drives me nuts. So I put another flower over here. I've got it all pinned in place, and I'm ready to start stitching. Here's some of the things that I found when I was cutting it and pinning it in place. I have mine a 1/2 inch up from the bottom, because Maggie said when we put the blocks together that she left a 1/2 inch overlay to put them together. So I left a 1/2 inch because I want my block to come up to pretty much to the bottom of my grass. I left 1 inch, and that's perfectly 1 inch on each side is available. And that's how much Maggie recommends. I pinned the bottom row of my grass on first. I left the top loose because the second row of grass slips behind the bottom row. The top row of grass slips behind the middle row. And I work from the bottom up. That's how I'm comfortable. Do whatever you want, but that's how I work, is from the bottom up. And I slip things behind the grass as I go. Normally, what I would have done is I would have sewed all of the grass pieces together before I pinned them on, because that's how I like to work. The same with the cabin. Normally, I would have sewn all of the detail on the cabin and then pinned the whole cabin to my block. I do the flower heads. I would normally center, sew the centers on, and then have that done. So any sewing that I can do before putting it on my background piece, I find that easier because I'm not flopping a bunch of the background piece together. I'm going to lose this. I should have pinned it, idiot. That's normally how I do it. I didn't do that this time because I wanted everybody to see things pinned out. I pin everything. I'll move it around, a million times before I get it exactly where I think it looks exactly right. And that was probably where I had it the first time I pinned it down in place, to be quite truthful. On the logs, one of the logs is 1 inch wide, and the other two are 3/4 inch wide. It didn't state in the pattern where, not that I didn't find it anywhere, but logically I thought, okay, I'm going to put the widest one on the bottom. And so I put the widest one on the bottom. Your log material is brown sugar solid and brown sugar plaid. I don't recommend tearing the brown sugar plaid. It's a little looser weave, and I got to tell you, the brown sugar plaid, Tanya will tell you this, is my favorite of all of the colors or textures that she dyes. I love the brown sugar plaid, but it does have a looser weave, so the edges will fray a little bit. Don't cut it till you're ready to use it. If you cut it and throw it aside in a pile, it's just going to get roughed up and fray. But it is my all-time favorite that she dyes, is the brown sugar plaid. So I was glad that Maggie used it. But I put my brown sugar plaid down here on the bottom, and then the brown sugar solid I used for these two. There's 4 this is the rail. It's 4.5 inches. And then the posts, there's 4 posts on this side, 3 posts on this side. This rail is 4 inch. This rail is 4.5 inch. And I kind of want my fence to look old and rickety a little bit, so I kind of make my posts dance a little bit. I did not find where it said what to use for the center of your flowers, but I used a dark center because that's what I could see in the picture, was a dark center. I think it looks like she might use brown actually, and I used this green here, the spruce. You're supposed to use the spruce for your leaves. My spruce is dark enough that I couldn't see the leaves very well. Of course, I'm half blind, so there you go there. But it was my preference to use the leaf green, which is this one here in the center. So I used the leaf green. I used the army green for the stems. Not tobacco, but I can't remember the name of this color, but you all got this as well. The dark, it's a real dark, almost black, but it's like a charcoal gray color. And then the mustard, for the flowers and the star. Everything goes so well together. When I put this, stitch this down, and this is something that I always keep in mind when I'm stitching, I am very aware of my starting and stopping stitch points. So I will stitch normally, and the reason I do this, let me explain why, and then it'll make a little bit better sense. If I have to go tear something out, I want to know how far it's going to tear out. Or if I'm going to move something, say later on when we add the branches to each side, maybe my star's in the wrong place and I want to move it. Then I want to know if I start to take that star up and tear it, tear the stitches out of it, what else is it going to affect? So if I stitch my roof on and I go right over to my star and I'm stitching my star on, then later on I decide to move my star and take it off, it's going to affect the stitching that I did here. So I always have a starting and stopping point. I'll stitch all of my roof down and I'll knot it and stop. I'll start with a fresh knot, go and stitch my star on. I'll stop. I do the same with, I'll probably do the chimney and the smoke together and stop. So I'm very calculated about where I start and stop. I always make a knot, and knot it off, stopping point, and before I move on to the next piece. Then if anything happens that I have to tear it out or I decide I want to move something, I know exactly how far back my threads go, to what point my threads go that I've stitched down. So anyway, so like I said, I added a few things to mine just so I could say I made it my own. My husband and I have already been trying to figure out what saying. We know what saying we want to put on it when I'm done, but we're trying to figure out how to place it. What the placing of all the letters and everything would be. But so he's kind of getting into this too. This is block 1. Block 2 will be the tulip. That'll ship mid-November. And block 3 is the open tulip. Once we get all 3 of those done, we will be stitching that row together. We'll stitch the rows together as we go. So I'm really anxious to see everybody's. I'm going to be stitching mine tonight and probably tomorrow night. And then I'm going to post mine out on Facebook. And I would recommend that everybody share as you go. If you've got any tips, post them out there. If you've got any questions, I'll be from 7:30 to 10 Monday night, October 31st. I will be waiting and watching for any questions that you guys may have. So I think I've gone through everything. Make sure that you measure. Your block should be 18 inches wide by 16 inches tall. And when we cut your pieces, we aren't precise. So if your block may be 18.5 inches wide by 16.5 inches or by 17 inches, what have you. So make sure that you measure it, you square everything up, iron anything that you need to. And then once we are completely done with our block, I'll show you then, we'll have a video on how you block it, which most of you may know. Some of you who are new to it would not know. I'm going to put a short video out later on some different stitches. Some different stitches that we might use going through this entire ordeal, but for the most part, I know that Maggie uses she uses a slip stitch. I use a slip stitch. I think the majority of people, when they're stitching applique down, use their choice of thread. I use Maggie's Summer Brown. I'm hooked on that. It goes with many, many of Tanya's colors. So I'll be using the Summer Brown, and I'll be using a slip stitch to stitch everything down, even my thin, even my posts. Sometimes I will use a cross hatch stitch when I go up my stems, which is basically just X's going up. I have a method that I do that works for me. I may change my mind and do that. But in the video, the short video that I do and I post out on Facebook, I'll show you a couple of different stitches. Are you going to come visit, Ellie? And get off Mama's picture. Thank you. Oh boy, you're going to be right in the picture, aren't you? Oh, that's my Ellie girl. A slip stitch is basically what we use to do everything. And then, some other basic ones if you want to get fancy. A moon, maybe a sliver of a moon would look pretty there. But when we put the branches on, that Maggie designed, that pretty branch that goes up, that's just going to fill in nicely, and it's just going to be so pretty. I'm excited to. I can't get this done fast enough. So, good luck with everything. If you have any questions, I'll be on Facebook October 31st from 7:30 to 10 to answer any of your questions. You can email me at any time you want. I'll put my email in there as well. You get a hold of Tanya. Post a comment for Tanya if you'd rather talk to Tanya or have questions for her. We won't ignore you. Anyway, good luck, everybody. And in a couple days, I'll be posting hopefully be posting my finished block number 1 of Settler's Pride.